Hello, denizens of the internet. It's me, Hazel, from anime. This is the Q&A for my video, Weird and Kinda Scary Anime on VHS, and some popular and beloved ones too. I think that's the title. I changed it like a week before the video came out, which is why the text crawl at the beginning is incorrect. But I don't know. That kind of felt right. Sort of a Getaven, what is it? Wine, bullets and roses, sort of a situation. Anyway, thank you all for your questions. As always, these are great, and I'm very excited to get to them. So, question number 1. How did you come across the dog one? It's a very piercing, but sort of like a journalistically important question. Honestly, a lot of my OVA digging is done on various like media categorizing websites where I can either search by like media type, including OVAs, or ones where I can find lists that other people have made. And I know it's a very simple answer, but I believe that is how I found Kennel Tokorozawa. Just throwing shit on like Letterboxd or whatever into a list of things to watch. Originally, when I first started working on that video, the kind of framework I was going to use was that like I punched like 100 OVAs into a big list, and then I was hitting like the random number generator to decide what I was going to watch. But that's not a very interesting framework. So instead, I just sort of decided to find ones that I felt filled niches that the video felt like it needed. Because as it got longer, I felt stronger about making sure that there was a good ebb and flow of different kinds of media. Which I guess is also sort of answers the next question, which is, how do you find anime to talk about? Like, do you rifle through Scarecrow video looking for anything that jumps out at you, or do you do something else? I found a couple of OVAs at Scarecrow, specifically the framing device that I used for my first Scarecrow spotlight, the one that was all me, was I wanted to find stuff that I had never heard of before, or that I did know about but hadn't really gone out of my way to see and hadn't heard anybody to talking about, that was in their collection directly. So I found a couple. I think Jewel Hunter Bem Lime was the primary one that made it into this video that I found at Scarecrow, but for the most part, I'm just kind of, it's much easier to find stuff on websites. Scarecrow is of more use to me. Actually, I think we'll get there in another question. In your research of these anime OVAs, have you ever come across something that could even remotely be considered a clue related to the Saki Sanobashi Go for a Punch lost media search? Realistically, I think it's obvious it doesn't exist, but the part of me that yearns for more gore anime to discover is still hoping it's out there in some form or another. So I never followed it super closely, but there was a brief period of time where I was kind of keeping tabs on it, just sort of lurking, because I knew that it was going to be a good way to find more like weird, violent, transgressive anime and manga, especially. Every now and again, people would post screen caps of like random 70s shoujo manga where like a school building is on fire, and they're like, "This is definitely it, guys." I don't recall finding anything really too substantial. There was one, oh gosh, there was a, holy shit, this is kind of a long story. There was one in particular, oh my God, I forgot that this was connected. There was one in particular that really, really caught my eye that, I think it was a guy who mostly, I think he really only had like one doujin published, and I can't remember his name, and I don't think I would feel comfortable saying it even if I did know. But the art really struck me. The images really struck me, and really sort of like burrowed into my brain. And so the way that whoever posted it found it was through a Twitter account that just kind of posted a lot of otaku ephemera of different kinds, and just like sort of like, again, like weird transgressive shit. So I followed that account, and maybe like 6 months, maybe even a year later, it posts a screenshot of this manga about a mom who's an otaku. So the fucking Saki Sanobashi search is functionally responsible for this channel being what it is today, because I read it. I read that little manga called Okumo-chan Flashback, and it scrambled my brain. And so I made that gosh darned video about it. That video is no longer on my channel because I just got sick of the fucking comment section. It was a cesspool in there. And I just kind of was sick of it. And yeah, I'm really, really fond of Ueshiba Richi's work. I think if he puts out another manga and it interests me basically at all, I would consider doing a deep dive on his bibliography and making another video on his stuff. We'll see if that happens. I don't think he's started anything since Okumo-chan finished. So I don't know if he's retired or what. But his manga, Discommunication, the art is amazing. Mysterious Girlfriend X is schlocky, but it's like really, really kind of dug itself into my head. I'm very, very fond of it. And I think, I can't remember the name of it, but there's that one really crazy, really like psychosexual, like supernatural thriller thing that got like a really regular anime adaptation. Yeah, so there's a lot to dig into there, and I think I could do his work a lot better justice than the 2-week deadlines worth that I gave myself when I made that video. So, yeah. I forgot about that until your question. Thank you. Have you ever watched any ONA that compared to the mystique of the OVA era? Thunderbolt Gundam is the only one that ever got close to for me. So ONA, for the folks at home, is short for Original Net Anime. And the answer is kind of no. Is it a Yuri Seijin something Chan? I can't remember the name of that one. I think that might have been an ONA. Is Senko Roll an ONA? The original, what is it called? It's like really colorful. There's like a girl. Oh my God, what the fuck is it called? I watched it, I believe, and Senko Roll and Yuri Seijin whatever Chan, all in preparation for my Fooly Cooly video. And I gotta be honest, I don't even know if any of those are ONAs. But I also didn't like Kyoso Giga. That's what it's fucking called. I didn't really like any of them that much. Not that I only actively disliked one of them, but the other two just kind of didn't really click for me. Kyoso Giga seems really beloved, but just kind of not my lane, one of those situations. Yuri Seijin, is it Naoko? I'm gonna have to look this up. Yeah, Yuri Seijin Naoko-san. I was excited for that one because like a trashy trashy OVA, whatever, about an alien woman who is, I think, like trying to make the planet like all Yuri, some dumb shit like that. I really wanted to like it, but they really should have just titled it Loli Seijin Naoko-san, because most of the jokes in that are about her being a lolicon and not her being a lesbian. And it kind of sucked. I hated it. Huge disappointment. How interested are you in talking about the wave of X-rated animated movies that started in the 70s, spurred on by movies like Fritz the Cat? I'm really interested in that stuff. I just don't know if I have anything very insightful to say. I would say that Fritz the Cat did not necessarily spur on those other animated movies, and more the my understanding, and I'm not very well read on this stuff, but my understanding is that was it? I don't remember what year Deep Throat came out. John Waters refers to it as porno chic. The wave of increasingly sexually transgressive and explicit films getting mainstream attention in Hollywood. And I think that those ripples kind of made greater headway for stuff like Fritz the Cat. And also the 3 erotic animated films produced by Mushi Pro, Tezuka's studio, Cleopatra, 1001 Erotic Arabian Nights or whatever, and Belladonna of Sadness, which is the only one I've seen so far. A lot of that stuff is just really fraught, and I don't feel like intelligent enough to be equipped to talk about it. There's an asterisk on the enjoyment of pretty much each and every one of those. And I think increasingly that's a needle I don't have a lot of fun threading. So yeah, it would be difficult to talk about on YouTube at a baseline as well. Yeah, that's one of those things I want to see somebody else make a video about. So no worries if it's too personal, but how are you and Alyssa doing? Also, not sure if you've talked about it before, but how has been releasing new music, and what made you decide to change your artist name? No, I wouldn't say it's too personal. I assume that you're specifically asking in reference to the fact that Alyssa and I recently announced that we have separated. That was all the way back in January. I think it was September when we kind of made the announcement, which was a very strange experience. Like fucking divorce drop. Really, really strange experience. But I mean, Alyssa and I are roommates still. I was hanging out with her earlier today. We made a funny, I photoshopped a funny sign for her bathroom. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And I'm very thrilled that we have a very strong relationship. Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't come as too huge of a bomb for anybody listening. Yeah, sort of a weird situation in and of itself. And then additionally having to like sort of treat it as a matter of public record. It seems like people have mostly either gotten the hint or have saw that like announcement, whatever, directly. So just kind of for posterity's sake. Also, how has it been releasing new music? And what have you... I've read that question already. It's always exciting to release new music, mostly because it feels like I can finally put it to rest a little bit. My full length is finished. The Smiling Broadly full length is finished. It just I'm waiting for the right time to release it. I think I'm going to release it in the run-up to my next video coming out. We'll see how that goes. I'm trying to do less speculating about my own creative sort of release schedule where other people can see it, because I'm always incorrect, but we'll see how it goes. I changed the artist name from Twinkle Park to Smiling Broadly. Both have kind of a clean break for stuff that was sort of increasingly straying from my initial mission statement with that former project. And also, Twinkle Park has fucking terrible mouthfeel. It looks ugly on a page. I just really increasingly got sick of it. And Smiling Broadly, it feels good to say. I think it kind of captures the primary ethos with this project, which is that I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, more specifically, I think the sort of like I don't know. I like the idea of like, no matter how heavy my lyrical subject matter may get down the road, I'm still smiling broadly. You know, it's something that is not insurmountable, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I just like the way it flows. I think it looks good in all lowercase. Yeah, it struck me maybe like 8 months before I decided to pull the trigger on it. And I'm really glad that I did. Just want to mention the funny timing of this video, as I went down to Seattle and checked out Scarecrow for the first time a week and a half ago. It was very cool seeing your fingerprints all over the anime section along with the other volunteer contributors. Seems like a really lovingly run place, and I hope they can continue going for a long time. What kind of work does volunteering there involve? So first things first, I don't consider what I do volunteering. Scarecrow has volunteer support. I'm just kind of contributing on the sidelines. But as far as my involvement is concerned, we every other month pick a subject. Myself and the other person collaborating, we sit down and pick a topic. We both kind of accrue some titles about it. Or some titles that are relevant to it, and just kind of go to work. It's interesting for me because it is the only time within my quote unquote professional career where I have tried to write in like a remotely formal voice. I don't think I'm very good at it, but the other person that I work with is extremely good at editing and kind of fixing my shitty diction. So yeah, it's super like low stakes. It's something we do for fun. So once it's done, my collaborator ships it off to a Scarecrow staffer who puts it through to I see. I don't really know the chain of command. I'm a little bit hands off. The most I've interacted with the staff was when I asked for like vintage Scarecrow photos and videos for the live stream. So I don't really know where the chain of command goes, but the end result is that they put together the spotlight itself by grabbing all the titles off the shelf and relegating them to their own shelf, and then printing the spotlight's text out. We write way too fucking much. They used to, before I got involved, they used to just be like a fucking paragraph each, but mission creep is kind of I could change my legal name to that and nobody would even notice. So yeah, I think I've noticed some vague confusion with what exactly the spotlight is. It's just a bunch of text. It's plastered to the side of a shelf. It's not a video thing. Yeah. I love it there. Big surprise. Everything that I see from an interface with the Scarecrow staff is those people are absurdly dedicated. I think a lot of them have put like 10, 20 years into that place. It's amazing, and I've got so much respect for them. Also, this is a good chance to make it clear. I am going to be briefly appearing on Scarecrow's video store day. It's going to be past by the time I upload this. I'm an idiot. I'm recording this 2 days before that happens, and this is going to go up like a week from now or something. Anyway, I will have appeared on Scarecrow's live stream, video store day live stream. From their store, live from their store. So you will see me talking about the most recent anime spotlight a little bit more. I don't really know like what I'm gonna say. I'm a little nervous. I'm shy. But I don't know. I think at 5 p.m. We're going on, so I don't exactly know what I think that maybe like check like 5 hours into the stream, because I imagine that they're going to have it on their like previous live streams tab on their YouTube channel, something like that. Thoughts on Japanese cyberpunk, specifically the works of auteur filmmaker Shinya Tsukamoto. I fucking love Tsukamoto's work. Tokyo Fist is my favorite that I've seen so far. I think like with Japanese cyberpunk, like the more transgressive it gets, the better. What's that fucking guy's name? The guy who directed, it's like 3 numbers and then Pinocchio. It's a movie I need to see. I don't know why I think I'm gonna find it this way. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna try to filibuster a little bit. I think like I really only like cyberpunk when it's very, very 964 Pinocchio by Shojin Fukui. Yeah, baby. I haven't seen that movie. I can't vouch for it one bit, but it seems fucking crazy. And I'm sure that I will love it when I see it. Yeah. That's the name of that movie. I kind of only like cyberpunk in general when it's transgressive. I think a lot of like bubble era cyberpunk, like I don't know, you can just kind of feel like the I don't know how much I actually agree with this. I feel like you can 80s Japanese cyberpunk, I feel like you can kind of feel the economy booming in the way that everything is framed. And then you get to the end of the bubble era, 1989 is when Tetsuo the Iron Man comes out. And I believe that is something that most people consider sort of the inception point for that kind of strata of Japanese cyberpunk. And of course, like that coincides with the end of the bubble economy. And I think a lot of the stuff I'm more interested in there comes in the 90s, which then dovetails back into the anime spotlight we just did. Have you seen Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Revelations? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? It's one of my favorite anime, and I honestly think it would fit really well in this video. Weird dreamlike feel, poor pacing, homophobia, planes crashing into towers. It's got it all. Thank you for this comment. I generally don't answer questions that are, have you seen this or that? If the answer is no, just because I don't think it's very interesting. I don't know how to make saying no interesting. But I do generally kind of take stock of what is being mentioned. So don't feel discouraged from asking those questions. Just know that if I skip over them, it's because I'm the boring one. But this description made me laugh, so I wanted to include it. I'm gonna have to check it out now. Bad pacing, homophobia, planes crashing into towers. What more do you need? Did you film your segments of yourself on an older camera, or did you use a new one and made it 4:3 in editing? No, I used a Sony DSR PD150 that I very luckily got for very cheap. Right before we shot Divine Hammer. That was the camera we shot that film on. Somehow it survived that shoot. And I just love using it so much. It's my favorite camera in the whole wide world. So as far as a little bit more of a technical explanation goes for people who maybe already knew or suspected that, the method that I use to capture that footage is a little bit roundabout because, and this is more of a minor reason, but generally speaking, I use you can hear the tape being run very faintly with mini DV cameras. And that's not really a point of concern for me. In the Tokusatsu Girls video, I had to like edit out the CRT whine from the entire thing. So like, you know, incidental sounds like that don't really bother me that much, but mini DV tapes are expensive. And I'm a data hoarder. You know, I can't guarantee that the way that we currently rip, I guess we being me and Nay, but the way that we rip mini DV tapes is ideal. It's entirely possible that even what I've edited of Divine Hammer so far, eventually I'm going to realize, fuck, the goddamn aspect ratio is wrong because it's using an anamorphic scaling or whatever the fuck. I'm really not super literate on the technical end, but what I do is I have the camera outputting through FireWire, and it goes through two different dongles in order to get into my laptop, which I then use to, I use FFmpeg or some like offshoot of it or something to rip the whatever is data is streaming through the FireWire port. And then it encodes it as like a .dv file, which is like a raw mini DV format. So then I go into Handbrake and I have that process it, and then I go. That lets me just run the entire time and not have to worry about getting up and switching tapes or running the risk of something not filming right, or there being hiccups on the tape. It just cuts out a lot of time. The downside is that cable is not super long. So it stretches awkwardly from my television, like the like television rack that I have at the foot of my bed, which is where I set my camera, into my laptop. It's just long enough that it creates a long cable that acts almost as like a velvet rope or something, getting out of this set, quote unquote, that I've constructed for myself. Which is why I fell in that video. I fell and ate shit because I was trying to step over that thing and I fucked up. And I was like sweating fucking bullets. I was positive that I had ruined something. I was positive that I either broke that camera or one of the dongles. which would have been okay because for insert shots, when I'm editing, I don't necessarily want to go through all of that rigmarole to capture more standard definition footage. So I will use a camera that I've had literally since I was like 15. Maybe it's even older than that. I was frustrated with it for a long time because it claimed to have, I think, 1080p output, at least 720p. But it's one of those bullshit things where it's really capturing at 480i and then using some degree of processing power to upscale it to a higher resolution, which sucks and looks like shit. So digging around in the settings for that, I found I was able to capture at standard definition 480p, but it still outputs it as it's still stuck at progressive, deinterlacing of what is definitely 480i video. And there's no way to disable that. It's that bullshit era of Sony camcorders where they just completely obfuscate what any of the settings actually mean to somebody with any understanding of these kinds of cameras. So they use all these like bullshit made up words to describe their settings. So I do not know how to create how to get it to also because like I think the 480i the 480p function is basically treated as like a data saver, so the bit rate is really shitty too. If there was a way to get that thing to output at 480i lossless or even like just less lossy, I would probably use that for everything but like direct filmmaking endeavors because it fits in the palm of my hand. It slips into my bag super easily. I just love that thing. That thing's form factor, I should say. Are there any plans or potential for future podcasts? It's something I've thought about a couple times. I miss having one. But I'm kind of just at a deficit of subject matter and also like the right person to bring that subject matter to. I've thought for a long time about doing a podcast on pink films, which are a specific kind of Japanese sex movies. Because obviously, like that's not something that I could ever talk about on YouTube proper. So if it's an audio only format, then I kind of don't have to worry about the content, the subject matter being a problem. But I'm really just not well read enough on the subject. I've got 2 different books about them that I'm very slowly chipping away at every now and again, but I don't know that I necessarily want to sign somebody up to watch one of those every other week or whatever for like indefinitely. So we'll see. I don't know. Do you have any recommendations or resources if I want to do a deep dive into the Heisei malaise you mentioned? I've always gravitated toward media of that kind and didn't know why I liked it or that there was a name for it. I won't be able to go to Scarecrow for the foreseeable future, but just know if it was in the cards, I would have gone today. Literally considered getting on a plane just to go. I did not know this at the time. The anime spotlight is up to read on Scarecrow's website. It's completely unbeknownst to me, which I'm thrilled about, frankly. Now I feel a little bit silly for saying it only existed in that physical space. Do not fly out just to see shit that I wrote. It's a silly thing to do. I hope that you are able to make it to Scarecrow at some point in the future, though. It's a very lovely place. As far as resources for the Heisei malaise, the books that I shouted out in that video, Beautiful Fighting Girl and Otaku Japan's Database Animals, I think are pretty good places to start. I think a lot of the different aspects are sort of disparate, and they sort of get unified by the art that came out in that period, which is why I even tried to be a little bit skeptical of even aligning these titles so directly in the spotlight itself, which was part of the difficulty of making that a video to begin with. I just wasn't really sure how to thread that needle. I wouldn't even say that there is a name for it. It's just something I call it. I really cannot guarantee that that is correct. I mean, it's not even a correct application of that phrase. The Heisei malaise was coined by a finance guy, like I forget what you call them, like a statistician or whatever. So not a direct term that I think you can use like totally laterally or whatever. Are there any modern manga you've been keeping up with? No. I don't know why. I just have not felt drawn to reading manga in a very long time. And when I do, it's just kind of offhand stuff that catches my eye or has some sort of direct relevance to stuff that I'm working on. I'm currently looking away from my screen because I'm looking over at the Ninja Sarutobi Sasuke manga that I picked up the other day because it has a Ryan Holmberg essay in the back. So I think right now I'm a little bit more geared towards stuff that is, I don't know, sort of instructive in some way, I guess you could say. But yeah, no modern manga. I was keeping up with a couple, but I kind of realized that it was more fun for me to do that because I got to talk about it with my best friend, and my best friend's dead. So I'm sure I'll find my way back to it eventually, but I'm still kind of waiting to find, I guess, to sort of rediscover my love of the medium. Which is strange because, like, there were times in my life where I would say that comics across the board were my favorite medium. Right now, I would say film for sure, evidently. But yeah, as a Lupin the Third fiend, who heard you mention it at some point in time? I need to know, who is your favorite Lupin the Third character? I was just talking about this with Alyssa and our friend Linus during the Scarecrow fundraiser stream. I honestly have a really hard time picking. Goemon is an easy one. I think he's very cute. Fujiko feels like too obvious an answer. Like, it almost feels like a cop-out. But obviously, motherfucker. At a certain point, my recording stopped. Because this fucking dock I'm using just occasionally disconnects randomly. Very glad I caught that. God damn it. I'm not sure if the Lupin question got obliterated or not, but I'm going to say it's a 50-50 between Fujiko and Goemon. Why do you think the 70s were a time when transgressive films seemingly had a boom, and why do you like said material from that decade? I would say it's kind of twofold. I can offer, or rather, I can offer two explanations that are definitely both incomplete and might be incorrect or misguided. So what I can say is, in America, the MPAA was sort of losing a little bit of its grip on violence in films. What year did Bonnie and Clyde come out? Yeah, it was 1967. So into the 70s, there were just kind of more and more movies that were able to and allowed to be more transgressive. But also, like, the 60s were obviously a time of social unrest. There was a lot of political activity across the board. Opposition to the draft. And then in Japan, which I assume is part of where your question lies a little more directly. There's stuff like the Red Army, kind of stuff going on. Into the 70s, I would say that the 60s were a time of social unrest, but my understanding is that it was not nearly as financially dire as the 70s were, because in the 70s you have the oil crisis, which is then what led to Japan divesting from oil and investing in, I believe, nuclear power, but also in like, like microchip kind of technology. Which is how the bubble economy came about. But the 70s, I believe, saw a rise in violent crime, at least in Japan, maybe specifically juvenile crime. Really don't quote me on any of this. And just like increased financial stagnation and decline and malaise. So I would say that it's an incomplete and inaccurate theory, but I feel like you see a direct correlation between, obviously the economy has a direct effect on social unrest in different ways. Or at least sort of like dissatisfaction, which then often breeds interesting art. And so yeah, I think that you can in some ways chart a graph that kind of moves up and down in a wave as the economy rises and falls. I think that oftentimes people are a little bit too gung-ho to cite different creators as, especially if they're contemporaries, as being influenced by one another directly. And I think what's a little bit more accurate is just that, like, sometimes something's just in the fucking air. I think that it's I don't know. I think that's the best way I can put it. It was just in the air at the time. And I also just imagine that that was probably around the time too that studios were finding that transgressive films played into people's sort of latent morbid curiosity, and then kind of exploited that. So I guess in that regard, the term exploitation film has a little bit of a double meaning, if you will. Hey, Hazel, it's been so long. It's good to see you back. I'm sorry. I generally try to cut that part because it feels self-congratulatory for me to read. What is your favorite kind of CRT TV? My friend got this big boy Thomson Cineum last year. It's got a very good sound, but it weighs around 100 kilograms. I don't know how many burgers that is. Sorry. That's very funny. I don't really have an answer because thus far I just use the TVs that I have access to. The television that I use primarily, I really like because it's got an S-video input and output. That was how I was able to run the Scarecrow stream without having to introduce a bunch of splitters. That is really clutch. But the image has some pretty bad burn-in that is giving it a pretty rough kind of sepia cast to it because it was used in a radio station, and there's a little bit of burn-in of some kind of text that I've never been able to read, and I imagine that that's probably from it coming from a radio station. I gotta be honest, Cybershell's got a gigantic, beautiful Sony Trinitron. It is crazy how good even composite looks in that thing. Holy fuck. Oh my god. Playing goddamn Paper Mario on that thing. It looked so good. But I think, like, this is kind of a cop-out, but I recently picked up a Gateway 2000 Vivitron 17 CRT monitor for my computer, and I just adore this thing. It looks great. The image looks great. It's just so goddamn heavy. Right now I have it on like one of those fucking Amazon Basics wire shelvings because I don't have the money to afford one of the like kitchen like industrial grade ones. Which is how they get you. That's how they fucking get you. It's how they get you to buy all this goddamn worthless dog shit. And I can see the like the bars on it, like the grates or whatever, bowing really bad. I would love to find a better place for it, but my fucking desk is so small, and I just don't have a good solution for it. So eventually, it's gonna fucking give out under its own weight, and it's going to collapse and destroy my mixer and my interface and 2 different Tascam 4-track recorders, a Line 6 pod, a preamp, and a rack. A studio rack compressor. So when that happens, I think I'm probably just going to move into the woods and release my music by teaching little birds that come and rest in my windowsill my songs. Of the weird, obscure anime and OVAs you've seen without translations, which one would you want a translation of the most? It's hard to say because the ones that I have watched without translations, I feel like I just like understand what they are clear enough already that I don't really feel compelled to see them subtitled. I really like I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily have an answer. It's more like long-running shows that I would love to see get translations. Doesn't fucking like Sally the Witch not even have a god darned subtitle? I think ditto goes for like Hoshi no Kyojin, like a lot of really I think even Tetsujin 28 Go, the original. I might be wrong about all of that, but there's a lot of really fundamental and important anime that still does not have subs, and I would much rather prioritize those efforts, even though they're very niche and they're very long, and I know that they take a lot of work. So I guess that's my answer. What is the weirdest experience you've had renting a movie, OVA, etc.? I don't know that I've had any strange experiences. I think more so I often look like a lunatic, based on what I check out. So I imagine that I am the weird experience to the clerks more often than not. But also these are, you know, a place like Scarecrow, they've seen fucking everything. I don't think I'm special because I rent things out from their sexploitation room frequently for my own personal edification. Yeah, I guess I've mostly had good experiences. Between you and May, which of the Twin Towers are you? I think I'm the South Tower. Where do you grab your sound effects from? Cartoons, video games, free sound. I just kind of get certain sound effects stuck in my head sometimes. And then I do a lot of like cartoon splort sound Google searches. I'm sure you get this question all the time, but I was listening to one of your... Oh, also RPG Maker. The RPG Maker stock sound effects are so goddamn funny to me. I'm sure you get this question all the time, but I was listening to one of your previous Q&As, and you brought up how you want to make a video on Shoujo Tsubaki / Midori, but just haven't been able to consolidate and take in all the information you want before you talk about it. So my question just is if you've been able to make any progress on your research in the almost 3 years since that Q&A. I'm going to be honest, I eventually realized that I think it would be a disastrously stupid idea to make a video about Shoujo Tsubaki. It is so fraught, exists so distinctly in its own time, and is so I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily have an answer. It's more like long-running shows that I would love to see get translations. Between you and May, which of the Twin Towers are you? I think I'm the South Tower. Just it's not something that I think like needs to be. I think that it should. I know this sounds like gatekeeping, but I think that it, more than a lot of other pieces of media, is best off being discovered by people that are going to want to seek it out on their own rather than shown. I think it is the third rail with this shit, especially after my understanding is that it got kind of big on TikTok. Because people were talking about it like, oh, it's the most disturbing anime of all time. I think that the kind of degree to which people think it shouldn't exist is kind of like, it's frightening to contend with as somebody who is inherently very fallible. I don't think that I would be able to change anybody's minds on it. I think that I would only be putting myself at risk, even so much as implying why it speaks to me. And I just kind of don't... I don't know. Like I never really did the looking into it because none of the kind of basic information really passed the sniff test. And I really might be wrong about this. Like further information, further reading might disprove this. But the director, Hiroshi Harada, I believe is his name, if I'm recalling correctly. I believe that it is fundamentally against that guy's wishes to watch and share and kind of disseminate that film because it was supposed to exist within a very specific time and place and format. The people talk about a Kamishibai style theater presentation that it was originally shown with, and that Harada was very sort of insistent that that is the correct way to engage with it. And I think that it would be sort of... I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I wouldn't feel comfortable further proliferating it. Could you say that it's then hypocritical for me to watch it in the first place? Maybe. But I certainly don't think that blasting it onto an audience of, you know, let's even just say 100,000 people, without their kind of like prior investment in it, I think that not only would that be against Harada's kind of ethos with it, I think that it's also very... I don't see any benefit to doing it, other than that it would have a YouTube title that would get people clicking. It doesn't seem worth it to me. I don't think that it would not feel right for me to make a video on it. Just wanted to ask, as opposed to videos where you focus on a collection of various pieces of media, whether they be unified by a central theme or not, how do you decide on whether or not a piece of media deserves to have a video all to itself? It's entirely dependent on how much I think I can say about it, and how interesting and how much I can derive from the outer conceptualization and, oh my goodness, context and there's another con in there. I'm blanking on it. It really just all depends on how much I feel like I can say about it. The video I'm working on now is just about one piece of media. And I mostly chose it, and frankly, to be shrewd, this is the bigger part of it. Like I have a hard time knowing how to be really substantial in talking about a lot of pieces of media, because quite frankly, my reaction to a lot of it is just, oh, that's great. That OVA video, you know, I don't think there was a single OVA in there that I could have turned into a substantial video all on its own. I think maybe Radio City Fantasy I could have, but the interest just wasn't there. The Flying Luna Clipper, like, it's not my story to tell. There are already articles that go into its creation, and I don't think that watching me regurgitate it because people don't know that there are articles about it just seems wrong. So finding the vectors that felt kind of most appropriate to discuss it through, it just slots better into a video that's got a little bit of a bigger, a broader scope, I guess. You know, actually, now that I say all of this out loud, I think I'm just going to upload this fucking Q&A like tomorrow or something. So October 19th, Video Store Day, motherfucker. I'm going to be on that goddamn live stream. Yeah. So anyway, the shrewd answer to that question is most OVAs don't really have a good way to sell them to an audience. It's like my favorite thing that I watched in that whole video was Shindose Jidai, Hawaiian Breeze. I love that thing so fucking much. I don't think I could have given it any title that would have got people clicking. Like, could I have? I don't even know if this is accurate because I haven't seen it, but it's like the most I could gesture is like the marriage story of anime, which makes me want to vomit just saying out loud that's such a stupid fucking title. So yeah, this next video I'm working on is just about one piece of media, one animated film. And it's both because I've found that there's a lot of interesting stuff to say about it, but also because it has got like a golden one sentence floor pitch. What do they call that? A one sentence floor elevator pitch. Jesus fucking Christ. Is it hard to maintain a collection of VHS tapes? I wouldn't even really consider what I have a collection. So I don't really know. I just occasionally buy tapes that I find for cheap in different places around the city. I don't think I've bought a single VHS tape on the internet. Except for the couple of Japanese tapes that I own, which mostly I just bought for video reasons. Yeah. When looking for stuff like the OVAs in this video, how often do you find stuff that you want to talk about but find you can't because it's too weird and or horny for YouTube, like Kennel Tokorozawa? That video, I wrote like a good couple of paragraphs in an earlier draft about Cream Lemon Pop Chaser. But again, it's just too fucking fraught to be worth talking about. Like, I don't want to have to get into the history of Cream Lemon. I don't want to have to be the one that puts myself in the line of fire. Even though there's a lot of really motherfuck, the fucking recording stopped again. Bullet points. I wanted to talk about Cream Lemon Pop Chaser because I think it's very cute and I like it a lot. I'm very good at compartmentalizing these things, I think. But I can't trust that an audience of my size is going to be able to compartmentalize it. Not that I expect them to. I think it's a difficult thing to do. Takes a lot of deliberate work that nobody should have to do if they don't have a really distinct interest in things that are transgressive. And also, yeah, I don't know. I think that my videos will wind up finding a wide enough audience, or are frankly at risk of finding a wide enough audience that you get people who just kind of don't understand and are going to get accusatory. And I don't feel. I think the Aken video is kind of my mic drop on that whole thing. I don't think I could have said it better than I said there, at least in my recollection. I'm sure there's plenty about that video that's kind of didactic or sort of short-sighted, but yeah, I just don't think it's water that I want to wade back into. Yeah. So I think that's generally where I land on that stuff. Like if I was really concerned about pulling stuff out that I if there was anything that I wanted to talk about that where I was worried about whether or not it was going to get a video flagged or not, like I think I've had a pretty good track record of finding the ways to circumnavigate it, you know, like the Minna Agechao video is still totally monetized. The first OVA video I did got demonetized, but is still available to people of all ages because I waited only 30 seconds instead of a minute to jump into that montage of anime gore. Stupid. Oh man, that video could have made me so much more money than it did. But it's fine. So yeah, I think it's a little bit more of a, I didn't want, fucking 200,000 people to watch me laugh about bestiality. I can't even say it with a fucking straight face. I'm being irreverent when I say that for people who haven't seen the Kennel Tokorozawa segment. That I joked about it being deliberate obfuscation because I knew that a lot of the people clicking on that video were going to go into it thinking, it can't be that bad. And then being correct. So I guess up to a point, out of a matter of self-preservation and knowing that my financial stability does inevitably affect the financial stability of people that I'm close to in myriad ways, I need to, I don't know, just like be careful in that respect. I don't know. I think I could have made that point a little bit more saliently, but hopefully you understand what I mean. Hiya! What was your favorite part of this video to edit? Everything from talking, okay, like how do I I think it's the line starts with like enterprising artists and software nerds, including Dick Van Dyke, like that line through kind of probably like the end of the Nanny Lin video section, if not that entire sequence of conversation about Amiga and MSX animation was so much fun. Because I not to toot my own horn, but I think that segment is so fucking funny. I think it's so funny. I think the having the hard cut to Cybershell, the I have the past, I can say it, like every single detail just kind of came together perfectly. and I think that I really did a good job on the pacing there. The Dem Violence Jack section was it felt very satisfying to put together, but it wasn't exactly fun because there was so much fiddling. The Scarecrow part was fun because I think I managed to stitch it together in a way that felt pretty dynamic. But I would have loved to have taken a second take. But I was filming like without Scarecrow's express permission. Not because I think that they would say no, but just because I don't want to fucking bother them. So I felt a pretty strong urge to get in and get the fuck out. So yeah. The second part where it cuts to me outside of Scarecrow was filmed like I think like a month, maybe a month and a half after I recorded that first part. And so yeah, I don't know, stitching them together was fun. Having like the little like J cuts between moments before the takes start and stuff like that was fun. Yeah. General question I've seen a couple of times. Where do I find XYZ OVA? Nya. Go to Nya. NYAA.SI. Is it currently SI? Yes, it is. There's no better platform to download anime. Unless you have like a fucking, what is it? A Vista's account. God damn it. Children, learn how to torrent. Also, what song did you use during XYZ segment? Look at the description! I literally say at the end of the video that on this website that is linked in the goddamn description that you can find every single song that I use in a video timestamped. I put so much work into that shit. Oh my god. Look at the goddamn description. You had to click it to get to get to the goddamn Patreon page. Okay, I'm normal now. How did you manage to trace all the various influences for these OVAs? Like, was a lot of it off the dome or vague recognitions of names and images that you dug into? Was there a bunch of ancillary research? All of the above. I think I've got a very associative mind and memory. So I fucking hate doing that thing where I point at something and go, this reminds me of this thing. Because it's like definitionally not really like commentary or like criticism, quote unquote. I don't fucking know, man. I don't fucking know. A lot of it is just like watching something and thinking, okay, who worked on this? When did it come out? What other stuff was coming out around it? What studio put it together? Yeah, lot of names, lot of identifying references to things, and also a lot of qualifiers on citing things as influences on other things. You cover Catnapped in this video, so I was wondering if you've seen any of Takashi Nakamura's other directorial works like the film Tree of Palm or the TV anime Fantastic Children. I've not seen either. I've known about Tree of Palm for a long time. I'll see it eventually. It's like, isn't it like more than 2 hours long? It's fucking crazy. What is your favorite guitar? On a sentimental level, shit, that's a hard question, actually, because I feel like I've got 3 answers, okay? Number 1, my Fender Squier Telecaster. I've had that thing for ages. I love the way it sounds. I've got tits, so I had to carve a comfort curve into it because, goddamn it, Telecasters are fucking unplayable otherwise. They're so goddamn painful to play. So when I lived in a place that had a garage, I snuck out to the garage at one point and spent like 2 whole days, like 2 nights, 2 separate nights, just fucking grinding away at the backside of that thing, and also the front while I was at it. And it looks kind of shitty. I don't think I really like varnished or finished or whatever the wood correctly, but I love that thing to pieces. It holds a lot of sentimental value, and even though it doesn't have the best intonation, I love how it feels, and I love how it sounds. My Fender Tornado is very important to me as well. I initially got interested in picking one up because Mariko Goto of Midori uses one. Or at least used one in her time in Midori. Hers is a slightly different model. I really fell in love with the slightly earlier model, or maybe just a concurrent one. I think it was, I can't remember if it was manufactured in 98 or 2000, but either way, those guitars are fucking insanely expensive now. I don't really know what happened. But at the time, I got really lucky and found somebody on Craigslist selling one for like $500, which is a lot of money. Actually, no, I think it was $400, which is a lot of money. But that, I believe it was made in Mexico, which is the highest tier of Fender guitar that I give a shit about owning. I don't give a shit about owning an American-made Fender guitar. The Mexican-made ones are great as far as I have played and experienced, and yeah. So I love that thing. I love the way it feels. It's heavy. It feels solid. $400. I was really broke at the time, but I knew that it was gonna slip out from under me, and that was gonna be my only chance. And so Alyssa actually helped me pay for it, helped me buy it, and that really meant a lot to me. Means a lot to me now. So there's a lot of significance there. And beyond that, yeah, I don't know. I just love that thing. I played it a lot when I was writing with my dear friend Chris of the band Tornamesa. He is in Fits and Starts. Oh my god, this fucking, oh Jesus goddamn Christ, this fucking thing. I don't know why it keeps starting and stopping the recording over and over. This is not, I've not seen it do this to this degree before. I don't know why this is happening. Logic Pro, come on. Yeah, I was playing that guitar a lot when I was working with Chris of the band Tornamesa, of the project Tornamesa. It's a solo thing. And I, yeah, I don't know. I associate that with working with him in the rehearsal studio that we both worked at the time, super late into the night, drinking beers and talking about Garo manga and just having a great old time, writing a shit ton of songs. It was a very, very prolific time that I look back on very fondly, even though a lot of those songs will probably never see the light of day. Very sentimental, which is a running theme. Number 3 is kind of a recent one, and it is not actually even mine. I'm borrowing it from a friend who, in turn, got it from her like grandmother's place after her grandmother passed. That was ages before I had even met her, to be clear. But I played it a little bit at her place once. And I just fucking immediately fell in love with it. I love the way it plays. It feels so good in my hand. It's like it's like it feels completely natural, totally intuitive. And I have written a lot of songs for whatever comes after my full length that is coming out soon on that instrument. You know, I think we like every now and again you see like fucking like DJ Khaled buying goddamn like fucking Bob Marley's songwriting guitar or whatever. And I assume that the implication is that it was not something that he ever put on any records, but simply played on his own while writing, mostly just for himself. A weird specific example, but that is kind of a common thing, I understand. And I suspect that will be the case with this one. I don't know if I'll necessarily put it on too many recordings at all, because it is... the intonation is fucking terrible. Oh my god, the intonation on it sucks. But I don't care, because I don't have to worry about it clashing with other instruments, because I'm just composing on it by myself. So that was a really long question. I'm sorry. 3 random questions. Favorite episode of Ultra Q? Best meal you've had recently? Anything new coming to the M Sisters store? The storefront thing is all up to May right now. I don't have anything that I'm going to sell until the film is done is going to be just sold through my Bandcamp, because it's going to be merch. Best meal, I don't know, I'm answering these in reverse order now. A best meal I've had recently is most certainly the dinner that hold on, let me think about this for a second. Is that true? God, I don't know. I feel like I eat really good because I cook. I'm really happy with where I am as somebody that cooks at home right now. Very, very proud of my cooking. And also, when I cook, I get help from people from friends that are also very talented at cooking. I've recently been making fresh corn tortillas, and I gotta be real, it's so fun and they're so tasty. I'm never gonna buy a bag of corn tortillas again for as long as I live. I don't know. I had some very nice meals around my birthday. Multiple people in my life treated me to some very delicious restaurant experiences. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can pick just one. Yesterday's dinner was, I made tacos with pickled onion and pickled jalapenos, and I made the corn tortillas for it, and we threw some cotija on it, and avocado, and honestly, it was just like a bunch of shit that we already had that we threw together. Some of the ingredients were from a friend's garden. It was amazing I mean, let me tell you, nothing tastes better than a meal that feeds 4 people that you spent fucking like $3 on because everything else was just prefab ingredients you already had. Favorite episode of Ultra Q, the like dream episode that like starts in the school, I really love. The one where the kid turns into the little money creature, I like very much also. Yeah, I don't know. I really am very okay, what the fuck? I must have hit some bizarre button in Logic, because it is now telling me that I've got a remaining time on my recordings, and I've never seen that before. There's like a bar scrolling, and in fact it's about to run out. This is really fucking bizarre. I need to Google search this really quickly. I'll be right back. Okay. I figured it out. It was because I had less than a gigabyte of space on my hard drive, because I haven't connected it to my external drive in a while to dump some of the stuff on it. And my trash can was chock fucking full of files from the Pokemon Terra leak, which I've just been going goddamn apeshit over. Holy shit. Oh my god. There's so much good shit in there. Fucking I don't know. I think it might be kind of a controversial subject, at least among people who are talking about Pokemon as part of their job, because it's nobody knows if it's gonna get like stricken or not. I also, it kind of seems like there's some misinformation. People keep saying that Game Freak has announced that they were doxxed, but the thing that I read only said that it was to a single individual, and that would be the leaker, presumably, who is almost certainly not going to share that with anybody, because that would be fucking crazy. So I don't know. If that's controversial, rest assured that I am not weighing in on the ethics of digging through a bunch of PSDs for the various Pokemon logos, which is fucking crazy. It's like, I don't need to be going off on this tangent right now. But oh my god, dude, seeing all of those cut Gen 3 Pokemon, like, it was like trying to stare at the sun. Like, it was legitimately overwhelming for my brain to comprehend. Never fucking seen any. Oh my god, the cops are fucking coming for me. Jesus goddamn Christ. They found out I downloaded the Quinty SNES port prototype. It's over. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm having so much fun with this. Let me stop having fun. What's your advice on the best way to get over your anxiety of playing music in public? I don't know. I've played in music in public a scant few times. And I still don't really have plans to do it anymore. I have the benefit of my experience playing in a band was mostly being a bassist to another a group of musicians. So I was not the front person, which took basically all of the heat off of me. Like, it could kind of just be fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any advice. Like, all the times that I played music in public, it was house shows that were being hosted at my house. So again, super low pressure. Playing solo, I mean. What is the best way to punch up instant ramen on a cartoon fly popping out of wallet budget? Egg, 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 egg. Put an egg in there. Alyssa would be better suited to answer this question than me. Maybe you can ask her in her Twitch chat sometime, twitch.tv/lovelandisle. I occasionally barge into her room to just kind of spout some bullshit at her. I crame her in from now and again. So ask her. She's the ramen expert between us. Hazel, did you know there's a real anime like Dude Gizardo, but it's with trains? I'm not joking either. Kikansha Yaemon D51 no Daiboken. I guess that would be I don't remember how to count that in Japanese. I'm sorry. Is mostly train stock footage with tiny bits of animation here and there. I was extra flabbergasted while hearing your description, thinking, they made another one of these? Holy fucking shit, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to talk about that on the channel at some point. My heart skipped a beat when you brought up Radio City Fantasy. I discovered it randomly while completely stoned one day. Everything about it clicked with me, and it ended up becoming my favorite piece of art over a few years. Though most comments online felt it was mid. I'm curious if you have any further thoughts on it, or if there was a piece of art that clicked with you entirely, but you never found anyone else who felt the same way. So to answer the first part, I kind of, to be honest, I didn't really get a lot out of it until I was editing. which is why I really didn't talk about it too directly over the course of that video, and was so much more eager to talk about Seiichi Hayashi and Morio Agata. So I think I don't know, it kind of speaks for itself, if that's not a cop out to say. As far as your other question about stuff that clicked with me, that where I haven't been able to find anybody else who feels the same way, there are two different aspects of that for me, where I every now and again I find something that I know is objectively mid, that I just like really, really, really click with. And generally it's stuff that's mid, but also kind of like forgotten or obscure to begin with. And I'm terrible. I've got this like very strong impulse to just keep it to my fucking self, in those cases. And I think part of it just comes down to the fact that, it's kind of hard to explain that I've got that relationship with it to begin with. But also it feels diminishing to say, oh no, you don't understand. I know it's mid. I like it because it's mid. I think the art probably deserves something a little bit better than that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there are a couple manga that I feel very soul bonded to that I've like had to import because they were like the fan translation was like dropped. The scanlation was like dropped after a certain point. But the other part of that is that having a YouTube channel and being somebody that is sort of against my wishes seen as a tastemaker, if that's not unfair to say about myself, I really if I say, hey, I like this thing, it's mid, but I really like this thing, or even like, I've got a very suddenly deep connection with this thing, and here it is, audience. Invariably, because their first time hearing about it is somebody who is, if not speaking in an authoritative voice, is speaking in a voice that is perceived as authoritative. Invariably, people are going to go into it with a certain predisposition toward it, especially if these people really like my channel and have had other recommendations I've made really click with them. Which I try to utilize sparingly. Shin Dosei Jidai and Loon Flies Over the Wind were two that I felt strongly about doing because I connected to both of them pretty distinctly. But the kind of like the modern cultural understanding of it from people who have like the internet cultural understanding of it that I saw was basically people saying like, this is gross and misogynistic, in both cases, like, oh, this is creepy. And I don't know, like, I really don't want to like look like I'm trying to posit myself as like the nuance master. But I saw a lot more in both of those, and I felt strongly about presenting them to an audience in a way that would let them approach it a little bit more on their own terms, or to see it as something that has value, that you can find if you look past the signifiers that it is misogynistic. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Which Megami Tensei games have you played? I don't know that I've really substantially played any of them enough to say that I've played them. Let's just say I played Jack Bros with your mom every night. Hello, Hazel. I would like to inquire about an image that appears 53 minutes and 18 seconds into your video on Aken, in which you flash an image of the Australian snack food Cheezels on screen. I was wondering what your reason for including a reference to the treat was, and also your opinion on the strangely sexual story included on the side of every box of Cheezels. I would appreciate a reply by the end of quarter. With love, Tetsuo the gay man. What's good, Seth? Quite frankly, I'm going to need an explanation on that strangely sexual story included on the side of every box of Cheezels. If you could transcribe that and put it in the comments for this video, I would absolutely love to know. I don't know where exactly Cheezels came from, but it was a running joke with some of me and Thor's friends to Photoshop the C out so that it reads as Heezel or Heezels. And then using that emote to refer to me rather than typing out my name. So if I can recall correctly, I'm guessing that was probably why. I don't know if I necessarily referred to myself in that moment or what. You went through the effort of putting the goddamn timestamp in there, and I didn't check. Yeah. One of my all-time favorite videos of yours is your cozy anime RPGs one, and I wanted to ask if there have been any particularly comfy games of that sort you'd recommend and or possibly cover in the future. I honestly, I think if I did a video like that again, kind of like what I did with that one, I would really just want to run down the list of RPGs I've been curious about for a long time, but just have not had the the time to invest into giving them a shot. Basically, it's all PlayStation 1, 2, 3 shit. I want to play Resonance of Fate so goddamn bad. What the fuck is up with that game? That was the one that Nikki spoke very highly of as a batshit bullshit, who the fuck do you think you are game design kind of RPG. So in their honor, I've got to play that at least some point in my life. Not a question, just a comment about that clip of the sheets during the Violence Jack segment. Someone who lives in a small town outside of the city of Pittsburgh. I'm not going to lie, that gave me a warm, comfy feeling seeing that, since I know that lighting almost every night coming home from work or on occasion when I'm stopping there late at night. Short story short though, that shot is a vibe to me. I got a couple of comments that were like, how the fuck do you know what Sheets is? You're not Pennsylvanian. May is, and we shot Divine Hammer in Pennsylvania. Half of it, we'll say. The majority of it, I think I can safely say, was shot in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's sort of a staple in her life and kind of a very immediate symbol of when something is quaint but also kind of grimly late capitalistic, that kind of collusion of the sort of smell of a Walmart, those weird cages that they kept all the bouncy balls in, the big bouncy balls. There's something sort of comforting but also sort of horrifying about the fact that something like that can be comforting. And I think that Sheets is kind of a solid example of that. I guess what I'm saying is sort of yeah, I don't know, something so heavily commercialized and commoditized that still has kind of an inherent warm association with it. Sheets felt very perfect for that. So that is all to say that shot of Sheets is a shot in Divine Hammer. I think at the very, very start of it, you can see me walking out of frame to get ready to walk into frame. So, yeah. You mentioned in your video about an hour in that you experienced Violent Jack as part of a viewing combo deep into the night. Do you have any other anecdotes of consuming some sort of media in a fugue deep into the night? I love how many people have called it Violent Jack. That's like significantly funnier to me than Violence Jack, and Violence Jack is already very funny. I feel like that was how I got into pink films initially, or just like even just like exploitation films in general. I keep alluding to pink films. I got to do that thing where I say you probably shouldn't watch those, or don't go watch those, because it signifies to the people that, like me, for whom take that as a tacit recommendation to go and seek it out, while the people who have a sense of good grace will stay away. So yeah, I don't know. Like that was kind of how I got into exploitation films. Queuing stuff up and watching them late into the night after everybody else in my home had gone to sleep. A lot of formative memories there, watching stuff alone on my laptop. I think I had one night where I watched, funnily enough, Shoujo Tsubaki, one of the guinea pig movies, Star Virgin, and maybe... I think there was something else I watched in that same session. Whole lot of tonal whiplash there. Very fond memory of that night. Just blasting from thing to thing to thing. How much hard drive space has this video taken up? I'm asking because after your first video on VHS Anime, I downloaded all of your suggestions and I have never recovered, since I don't want to delete them and risk losing seeders in the future. Well, first off, thank you for being a seeder. When I shouted out fan subbers at the end of that video, I really should have also taken a second to shout out people who seed anime. Controversially, perhaps, I sure don't. I don't have a VPN or anything set up, so I've just kind of never. I used to seed shit, and then I would get busted by my ISP, and they would severely limit my bitrate. So, like as like weird punishment that they deny happens. And I'm too stupid to know how to circumnavigate that. So, honestly, just get yourself a hard drive. Get yourself an external hard drive. You should do that to back up shit that's important to you to begin with. But also that's gonna help your file size issues. I think all told, that video, including all of the other footage that I had to gather and use, I think that project, the folder where all of those assets are, has got to be like well over 100 gigabytes, which is not uncommon for these videos. What is your holy grail anime cell? Well, I already own one Butt Attack Punisher Girl cell. But specifically the one where she's catching the sword between her ass, I would love to have. Again, my memory is more associative than anything, so I feel like there's a lot of stuff that is obvious that I just kind of am not recalling. Damn it, I should have a much better answer to this question. A while back, I did a stream where I browsed the anime web turnpike. I think right now that VOD is just sitting on my Twitch. I should probably upload that to my main channel. That stream was so much fun. I should do that again. But yeah, I don't know. We wind up talking a lot about anime cells at a certain point, because there were a bunch of listings on some of those websites for anime cells that were for sale, and it's like the most fucking like beautiful close-up of Ranma in Ranma 1/2, and it's for sale for like fucking like $40. It's fucked up. Are you familiar with X-Bomber, localized in English as Starfleet? Abject failure in Japan, but highly successful over here in England. Yes. I watched some video on it at some point, I believe, and that is how I learned about it. Not my lane, but very interesting to me. You mentioned developing an old ponytail guy musical sensibility. I was wondering what your feelings are in regards to Steely Dan. Steely Dan is fucking awesome. Would you consider doing a full deep dive video just on the type of janky home computer animated 80s and 90s video releases like the Flying Luna Clipper and Nanny Lin video? Feels like in a way it might be a nice spiritual sequel to your rare tokusatsu video. I kind of think I said everything that I have to say so far in the OVA video. Like a lot of the twists and turns that those videos take are kind of like, or each segment of that video takes is kind of like a micro Hazel video in and of itself, if I can say that. Yeah. With your support of Scarecrow video, is there a chance we could see a video that functions as a love letter to these kinds of businesses and consumer experiences? Something that both reflects on them as they were and identifies how they currently exist in little ways fractured across retail and digital spaces. Probably not. I don't know. Nothing about it really jumps out and grabs me subject matter wise. And I was a kid during the height of the or like the kind of like the like climax years, the kind of afterglow of the VHS rental store era. So I feel like it's really not my experience either. I'm a lot more familiar with like renting DVDs or renting video games, especially. I feel like I would sooner make a video about my experience renting video games as a child. But even then, that's like such a known quantity that I don't really know if that is like that I have anything to weigh in on there. What do you consider the most difficult part of writing these scripts for videos, and how do you overcome them? Structure is part of it. It's a lot of rearranging stuff until it feels just right. And then I'll always think that I have all of my notes together and that I can build a script out of what I've taken notes on, and invariably I always wind up needing to do a bunch of extra research as I'm writing to like make sure that I'm fact checking things correctly. But I think the most difficult part is I forget words all the fucking time. I'm constantly using thesauruses all the goddamn time because I just cannot keep words that I want to use in my brain. And I overcome that by using thesauruses. Between the focus on the Twin Towers and the inexplicable dramatic Dem narration, is it safe to call this video Dem Pain 2.9 Violence Jack Ultimate Redux Edition? I think it's Redo, but I don't respect the French, so... Yeah, absolutely. For those who don't know, May, Dem, and I are very infrequently doing a series of streams about... where May plays through the Max Payne games for the first time. We've literally only done 2 so far because Dem has done these amazing, very elaborate intros to each one, which has kind of become a once again, mission creep moment. But we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for those that hopefully will come to fruition. I was pleasantly surprised to notice a Strawberry Switchblade poster on your wall. I was just wondering how you got into them and what your favorite song of theirs is. Favorite song is kind of a boring choice. Since Yesterday and Trees and Flowers are both songs I love very, very deeply. They've got a couple of demos from their like time as like a band over being kind of like an electropop outfit that I really love. I think I got into them because of Flipper's guitar, because their final album has like a bunch of plunderphonic elements that I like. A lot of them I didn't realize that they were at first, except for some of the more obvious ones. But I did not know that the opening of that record is literally just the opening, the like kind of faux orchestral opening of Trees and Flowers. So once I found that out, I got way into Strawberry Switchblade, and I literally have not listened to Flipper's guitar since. Flipper's guitar also, there's like a trumpet line on one of their songs that's a direct reference to Since Yesterday. Other than your fundraiser stream, will you be planning to do more streams on your Twitch, whether it be solo or with friends? Also, thanks to your facecam footage, I noticed that sick-ass Parasite Eve poster and had to get my own. That's great. I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, I love streaming. It's just hard for me to find ways to fit it into my schedule in a way that don't just kind of like take an entire day out of my week. I love doing it though. Was curious if you have any wisdom to share on balancing and switching between essay writing and creative work. Have you found the contrast to ever work in your favor? I loved the Smiling Broadly EP heaps and was wondering how it's been spinning all these varied creative plates all at once. It's so goddamn hard. It's so fucking hard. Oh my god, it's so hard. Jesus Christ. I am not really suited for it. Somebody like Thor is able to bust out a song in like an hour and then get like fucking 15 minutes of a video edited that's like full of mixed media shit. And I'm just in awe every single time. I don't get it because I switch modes. And it's very, very difficult for me to stay on track. If I'm in another mode, it was legitimately difficult to force myself back into making and working on videos because my mind was just in other places with the kind of scant amount of creative time that I was getting in this deeply tumultuous year that I've had. Yeah, I don't know. I struggle with it very greatly, and I think that I really just find comfort in knowing that eventually I'm gonna switch back. It sucks to be at the whims of my brain deciding what it's going to latch onto, but I know for a fact that when I'm in a given mode, I'm making my best work in that field. So it's been really nice to get bitten with the video making bug in full force because it doesn't feel quite as compulsory as it's felt the whole rest of the year, which is silly because this is a very creative job that I enjoy doing very much. I'm curious what sort of daily rituals you partake in. Like, do you play any New York Times games? Do you try watching a new video every night right before bed? Do you struggle to find time for any of that faff being too busy? P.S. Fun seeing you pop up with Loveland Isle on streams. I think I mentioned that earlier. I mean, I play Pokemon Sleep. I am very diligent about tracking my sleep and ensuring that I'm getting enough of it, because bad things happen to your brain when you don't get enough sleep and you're getting older. I'm at a point now where if I slept for 4 hours last night, I'm like, I can't function. I can barely keep a thought. I'm very well rested today, which is probably part of why I'm kind of bouncing off the walls a little bit answering these. Aside from that, I don't know. Like, I think I'm a kind of ritual-oriented person, but not really in like a daily kind of context. I drink a Yakult every single day because I've got digestive issues. I don't know. I find myself getting into routines in brief chunks that feel like they really serve me until I just kind of fall off of them and move my way to other stuff. How do you get your hair to look like that? It's super cool, and I'm very jealous. So to be honest, I really struggled with my hair for a long time. I just like could not tame it no matter what. it would just always dry in this sort of like terrible fucking triangle shape, just like really not settling at all. I would have to wear my hair in braids after I got out of the shower for like a whole night for it to sit right. And then I was over at a friend's house, and midway through a conversation, I asked, like, yeah, what do you think about that? And she pauses and she goes, I think you have curly hair. And I went, what? And she holds up a strand of it, and it's in this like pretty tight like wave, like not curls, but like a wave. And that kind of blows my mind. And so I hit up May and I'm like, May, oh my God, I think I have curly hair. Can you give me your routine? So she gave me some pointers, and then I did some independent research. And eventually I, over the course of this year, have kind of retrained my hair to actually be tame and sit correctly. And it turns out that my hair has been curly my entire life. Or I can't say my entire life. When you get older, your hormones change naturally, and that can have like weird knock-on effects with different aspects of your biology. So it's possible that it did happen just because I've gotten older. And like I've always had very, very thick hair. I've had hairdressers get like frustrated with me for not disclosing that my hair is both very thick and very dense. So I just sort of chalked it up to that, but it turns out that my hair texture was completely different than I thought. I use Verb Ghost shampoo and conditioner, and I shower by just rubbing shampoo into my scalp, and then cupping my hands and bringing my hair up with it in strands up to the top of my head, and letting the water kind of run down and clean my hair that way. And then I use that same cupping motion to apply conditioner to the rest of my hair. And I let it dry during the day. And beyond that, it's kind of like a lot of a little bit more like deliberate kind of trying to take care of it. Sometimes when I stay over at friends' places, they've got pillowcases that are like kind of like scratchy almost, or that my hair sort of like catches on, always makes it explode. So I kind of have to be cognizant about that sort of thing. I cut my own bangs, mostly just out of necessity. It's very expensive to go to a hairdresser, especially in a metropolitan area. I don't know. It has really kind of like overrode my my self-image a little bit. I love having very long hair. I think my hair is more than 2 feet long at this point, and it can be a real pain in the ass. But it feels really right, and I don't know, I like it very much. I don't know if this is something that you can train your hair to do if it's not naturally like this. Because it is possible that like my hair has always been this way. If this is sort of an out-of-pocket thing to say, by all means, correct me, and I apologize. But I have both. I'm part Italian. If you haven't noticed, that was the part of my family that predominantly raised me, which is why I'm like this. But my grandmother is Guyanese. And so like I kind of think that like I like all of the like all of that part of my like genetic makeup the Italian and Guyanese parts of my genetic makeup. Guyanese is not like it's not an ethnicity, but it's not worth getting into. A colonialism moment is what I can tell you. I think that kind of like all of those ethnicities just kind of found their way into my hair and not really anywhere else on me, like the hair on my head. Yeah, I don't know how much that contributes to it or not. Yeah, so I haven't seen a hairdresser in a couple of years. That might, I don't know if a hairdresser is able to kind of help train your hair in that way. I'm really not sure. It's just been my experience. Don't remember if it has been asked or talked about before, but without giving too much away, what's the film going to be about? It's about girls killing each other. Okay, this next question. Is it canons, canons, album Spotted on the Wall? It's the pink 7-inch record with the yellow in the inside for those looking at my wall. I will say for this time around, I will say Cananes. No, it all feels wrong. Album Spotted on the Wall. That album is so cool, and they're so cool, and you are so cool. Do you have any other Australian indie bands that you dig? So I found out about them because the primary song on that split, or on that EP, is featured completely inexplicably, like by itself, on a rarities collection that the band Citrus put out. And I really fell in love with that song. It's one of my favorite songs ever. And I was thrilled to find that 7-inch was very cheap. I've thought about getting a tattoo of the little strange little shark character on it. I think it's very cute. I like it. Any other Australian indie bands? They did a split with a band that I think shares some members with them. They're called like Sleepy Township or something like that. I thought that was cute. I really I think the only regional regional music whose indie scene I've followed very closely is or like indie rock scene specifically is like all of the Canadian bands that orbited Eric's trip. I think that's kind of as close as I could get. Or that, and then also the members of Coulter of the Deepers and all of their side projects and all of the collaborations they've done. There's like a chain of like relation between Coulter, BP, Boat. A lot of bands I love very, very deeply. Any other weird clamp things besides Miyuki-chan and Wonderland that you've engaged with or enjoyed recently? I'm really not like, I have a lot of immense respect for Clamp, but I don't really find myself seeking out their works very often, besides Cardcaptor Sakura, the anime specifically, even, which I love very, very deeply. Aside from that, like Alyssa and I laugh a lot about the mom from Angelic Layer, whose whole thing is that she can't she like abandoned her daughter because she gets really embarrassed around people she loves. I might be getting some of those details slightly wrong, but have you ever wondered what Sonic Adventure 3 would be like if it were on the Dreamcast? I don't know that I really have. I don't know that I could say that anything that I could think about in it would be very insightful or interesting. I think that they probably would have introduced I can't even think of a joke, I'm sorry. Thinking of weird and kind of scary anime, my mind went back to a random VHS viewing of my youth that I only ever remembered the very weird ending of and spent ages trying to resurface. Thanks to your video reminding me, I managed to finally rediscover it and found it was available on YouTube as well. That weirdness is Birth by Shinya Sadamitsu from 1984. Cannot be understated, and I would love to see and hear your take on it. I've seen Birth. It was very forward thinking for them to make her ass that big. I wasn't super into it. I almost talked about it, and what is it? Yoko and Leda are like other vaguely tangentially connected works to Birth, I think. But so much writing has already been done about Yoshinori Kaneda, and by extension, a lot of works like Birth. And I just don't I don't want to wade into that like Sakuga guy field. It's not my lane. Other people have given kind of like a perfect start to finish like exploration of those careers. And I just don't want to wade into it. I don't think I have anything to add. Happy to see you return. Inspired by your VHS bit, what obscure no one outside my family knows what I'm talking about English language show or movie sticks with you from your childhood? I actually think that my VHS collection was pretty regular, and DVD. The family's assortment of DVDs and VHS is pretty normal. However, I had this vague memory of being a child and being at daycare and seeing this puppet show about a tooth and its tooth adventures, and it terrified me very deeply. And so occasionally I would recount that memory to my mother, because also the other thing I remember is that a child once took a shit in one of the play structures inside of that daycare. And I've explained both of these to my mother, and every time she was like, I never once took you to daycare. You went to like an after school care on your elementary school campus, and your grandparents took care of you a lot of the time while I was at work, but you never went to daycare. We couldn't have afforded it. And I was just like, that can't be right. What the fuck? And eventually I realized that, she and I both realized that there was a gym that she went to a couple of times, I believe, that had like a place to watch children. Sorry, that sounds insane. It had a room where your children would be supervised while you went to the gym. And for some reason, that entire experience is very, very, very vivid in my mind, like down to the layout of that place. And I later found out that it is I think it's called like fucking Timmy Tooth, some shit like that. So that's about as close as I can get. What got you interested in exploring old and niche anime? I think I'm just one of those people that's predisposed to hating my generation. Or just like being opposed to things that are contemporary. Because like media cycles are so fickle and so fleeting that I just kind of wanted to continue to explore things that were kind of further and further into antiquity. I also am just like interested in the history of things that I care about. Honestly, I think it all comes back to Cinemassacre's Monster Madness. Seeing him chart the development of horror through from the silent era up until the 2000s, I think really stuck with me, and that became kind of that historical framework became something that I then viewed a lot of media through. So that might be part of it. I feel like it's kind of innate to me. Probably maybe also getting into retro video games as well. Yeah, I don't know. It almost feels like pathologizing myself to try to venture a guess. Do you think physical media will triumph as it did in the past as things fall into licensing limbo? So, without wading too much into this, recently the Rare Film website guy, I missed part of this Twitter kerfuffle. And I think this might be the only time I ever weigh in on a Twitter kerfuffle. But to my understanding, he tweeted about why you should support Scarecrow as an example that he gave as to Scarecrow's utility is that he would occasionally order DVD rentals through their rent by mail service to rent and put up on his website. To which somebody from Scarecrow kind of had to step in. It was Matt Lynch, had to step in and basically say, like, do not, like, this is a shitty way to promote what we do, and it devalues the archive fundamentally. And so he deleted the tweets and sort of indignantly, like, half apologized or whatever. And the irony of that to me is that I have never been able to successfully download something from the service that Rare Film uses, because it takes 8 fucking hours unless you pay a monthly subscription. Mind you, that money is not going to the Rare Film guy. I'm not, like, upset about the money changing hands the wrong way. But basically what he did was he said, look at how useful Scarecrow is. I'm able to share movies with more people this way. When in reality, what he's doing is shining a light on the fact that literally renting a DVD by mail and having it shipped to you across the goddamn continental United States is an easier and more reliable way of watching an obscure film than trying to use his shitty fucking website. Which is hilarious to me. Really, really funny. Full disclosure on that note, I do occasionally rip things from Scarecrow's collection for entirely personal private use, or to have a higher quality version of something that I can use in a video of mine that I then will not publish on its own on, like, the Internet Archive or anything. So, like, I understand the inclination to extol Scarecrow's value by saying it's an archive that is primed to be digitized, but I think that example in and of itself has kind of, like, I don't know, it's very illustrative, we'll say. I don't know that physical media will triumph. Like, between you and me, I just want to see archives. Like, I do want to see digital archives of film and other obscure media, or just other formats in general. But I just don't know how reliable that's going to be. Obviously, like, I think that question was asked before the Internet Archive DDoS. And that also feels kind of instructive of this whole thing. But I really just, I don't know. I'm not an analyst. I don't really know what the future of media holds. But between you and me, the internet kind of seems like it's kind of in its twilight years. Like, if I were to hedge my bets on one insane thing that definitely isn't true, I'm honestly saying that in the next 5 to 10 years, somebody is going to have to invent internet too, and we're going to have to start from scratch. The shit is fucked up. Every single website is written by a person that isn't even a human. Like, eventually the bots are just going to have this internet all to themselves because everyone is going to have to move to something different. So yeah. Who's to say? No matter what happens to the internet, I've still got a VCR that I like putting a big chunky tape that feels good in the hand into. What series or franchises have you gotten really completionist about? I feel like it's very difficult for me to commit all the way because I always wind up getting sidetracked. like I've tried with a lot of stuff, but I know I'm never gonna get all the way. Like Yoko Taro's stuff is his kind of entire body of work it intersects with itself in interesting ways. So it felt valuable to try to go through that stuff. But quite frankly, I don't want to watch a fucking stage play. I don't care. I can't bring myself to care. So I know I would never be able to do it. Yeah, I don't know. What's your most unusual find at Scarecrow? Oh, god damn it. I can't remember the name of the film, but man, I found something recently that was like two directors doing a take on the same film premise on one DVD. And we talked about renting and watching those. I found a couple of DVDs of like weird, like shot on video gore movies that I picked up. I'm sorry I'm a pervert. I'm sorry my taste in everything is fucked up and aberrative. There's this fucking DVD game that they have in their video game movie sections that boasts at the very top that it's compatible with PlayStation 2 because it is a DVD. And it's this fucking bizarre, like again, shot on video, like Knights of the Round Table, like sword and sorcery shit that is just so bizarre looking and so misguided, but it has so much heart put into it. I wish I could remember the name. It literally might just be called like fucking like Seven Swords or some bullshit. And then beyond that, there's a bunch of shit that I just like can't Google. That like nothing returns when you Google it. Inspired by your... No, that's the one that I read that one already. Did you edit the Creepypasta retrospective recently? I was rewatching it recently, and I could have sworn there was a new segment. Probably just a Mandela effect situation, but I feel like I'm going insane a bit. YouTube, to my knowledge, doesn't let you add sections to videos. And no, I haven't touched it until I rewatched it on, I think it's anniversary. Maybe a day or two after or beforehand. After not really having thought about it at all since we completed it. I really love that thing. I loved going back to it. Made me very happy. How do you think all the weird shit you've consumed has impacted your art? All over. In lyrics, with the film, it slips its way into everything. I did not suspect that making that Tokusatsu Girls video would wind up being so instructive for Divine Hammer. But there was a lot of stuff in there where I was like, wow, I really like that, or I feel very spoken to by that. I want to try to use some of those same kind of principles. Most literally, and I think that this is one of the shots that's in the kind of set of teaser images that we've posted so far. The really heavy blue light that we blast in one of the scenes that takes place at night was directly inspired by is it Lyra Lilac Red version? The one that Rare Toku has up is Red Lilac. Yeah, there's a lot of like room at night bathed in a bright light that they put a blue gel over, and I just fucking love that shit. So, yeah. Seems like this video has a lot of moments that could potentially act as onboards for new viewers, defining otaku terms, speaking more directly to the camera. This, along with specified cringing against the term hazelcore and previous video choices, makes this video feel like a push towards a blanker slate or new era for you. Was this at all intentional or on your part, or was it just a product of how much time and effort went into this one, leading to some shifts in your approach, emerging organically? I think that I'm very much somebody that, where there's not really anything I hate more than what I just was. not to really over pathologize myself, but I kind of hate every video that I made that wasn't made in like 2023 or sooner. I don't plan to get rid of them because I know that those videos are enjoyed by people, and I don't really feel a need to pull anything that doesn't have anything like objectively wrong or misguided in there. Misguided in a way that I feel like I can't abide by or stand by, I mean. So I've got no problem with people enjoying those videos. Just take a lot of it with a grain of salt. I don't really know what I was on about with a lot of that shit. So, I mean, I think, like, again, it feels sort of like prescriptive to say this, but I think I've changed a lot in the last year in a way that well, I'll say in the last 2 years, you know. I think everything after that Fully Coolly video was kind of settling into what I feel like I was able to make a definitive statement out of formally with this video. I feel like my approach has changed really radically to everything from scripting to editing to delivery. There have just been a lot of changes in my taste. I feel like I've just really kind of like lost a drive to be very, very maximalist in anything other than the information density aspect of my videos. I think a lot of the really like showy presentation and like keyframe editing and stuff I did in older videos just feels unnecessary to me. Not that I think that it's like gaudy when other people do it. I just feel like for me it's diminishing returns, and I just kind of prefer a more straightforward approach in a lot of ways lately. I think I was trying to articulate this in my last Q&A, and I don't think the point came out quite right. But I think one of the bigger shifts in this video that kind of rippled out into more than just my approach to the script was I kind of came to find that I was kind of overselling a lot of the stuff that I was talking about, because it felt like that was what it took to make it feel special and worth talking about and worth engaging with. And I think I've kind of come to find that, like, it's a little bit condescending toward the media to kind of extol its value, when simply being a piece of art that exists is value enough to be worth talking about. So I don't really feel a need to really emphatically state the things about it that feel like amazing, or that I think, I don't know. I feel like I've just kind of fucking mellowed out in a lot of ways. And I really, I don't know. This approach just feels really, really right to me. But I also think I'm kind of in a general phase that's trended toward, like, I don't know, just being a little bit more naturalistic, you know? Stopped dyeing my hair. The way that I approach mixing and writing and recording music has changed a lot. There's just kind of been a shift across the board, and I don't know, maybe part of it is just growing a little bit disillusioned with the way that I was doing the work and that I was doing, and kind of the way it was being interpreted. And so I guess in a lot of ways this felt like a course correction, rather than yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, it feels sort of self-aggrandizing, but there was a little bit of a deliberate move toward creating a blank slate, like he said, or just sort of like delineating this work from the work I was doing beforehand. Even though, again, like, everything I made in 2023, I love. I love those videos. The Tokusatsu video is one of my favorites. The Pokemon video is so fun to make. The Creepypasta video is kind of a masterpiece, I think. which I'm only allowed to say because there were so many other people who got their hands on the ball. And I just, I don't know. I really think that my priorities have shifted a lot is I guess what it really comes down to. And I wanted this video to reflect that. As far as like onboarding new viewers, that was mostly just a response to people being confused and feeling kind of like precluded from enjoying the video and understanding what I was saying because they didn't know how to Google search basic, or not basic, but like terms that people who are deeply invested in this stuff see as basic, that we kind of miss the forest for the trees on, you know? So just like flashing fucking Wikipedia excerpts for 2 seconds for people that want to understand what I'm saying and what the word I'm saying is, just kind of feels kind. It feels like a basic kindness to a progressively broadening viewer base, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know. I also, like, I'm trying to speak a little bit more deliberately. I think there are significantly less I thinks, I feel likes, kind ofs, etc. in there. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think that this is stuff that has been brewing, that I just finally felt like I knew how to execute on and crystallize, because I've been sitting on this video for 3 years, and I've been sitting on different ideas of new approaches to making videos for a year functionally. Yeah, I don't know. Completely off topic, but I'm wondering if you would be able to talk about what it was like to work on the Glass Beach remix record. If not, then what are some of your favorite... the if not was, I think, related to another part of it that I cut. What are some of your favorite music-centric anime? I'm going to be completely honest. I had never listened to that band before, and I accepted very shrewdly because I needed money. And I knew that they were a band that had a good amount of visibility at a time where I was kind of struggling to get people to pay attention in addition to their money on my art. So I asked a friend who was a fan, like, hey, which of the songs on this record, with many, many songs on it, should I is like best suited to me? And so I put a couple ones out there. Or she had given me a couple examples that I then told them, like, yeah, I'd be down to do one of these. And the one that they gave me is, I think, the most complicated on the record, so it was kind of a nightmare. It was a satisfying nightmare to work on, but it was a nightmare. There was a lot of stuff that I really just kind of like struggled to get just right. I spent a lot of time working on it. And in a lot of respects, I think it sort of represented the beginning of me getting really disillusioned with writing such complicated songs. Yeah, and then it got released, and it turns out that 17 different artists getting an even cut of 50% of the record sales, that already probably only 40% of that is being seen by both the original artist and the people who were involved on that remix record, didn't really shake out to very much money at all. So I don't think that the work that I put into it will necessarily ever be sort of matched, monetarily speaking. But that's okay. I was the one that went into it for money reasons, so I don't really have any qualms about that, other than I think the label maybe was sort of taking an ill-conceived, ill-considered approach to paying people out for that, which was kind of like, again, like even having to deal with the bureaucracy of it, like it just kind of like turned me off from ever wanting to work with a label. which was something that I already didn't think I would ever want to do. But like at that stage, I wasn't sure if I would be making videos for a living or music for a living or doing sound design for people for a living or what the fuck. I was putting my eggs in every basket I could get a hold of. So, yeah, that was, there was a brief second where I was sort of like, if a record label approached me and I thought that I could turn this into something that I'm doing for a career, I would. I'm glad it didn't shake out that way, though. I'm really happy to have full control over everything that I do. I could sit here and say that the videos that I make are not so, because I'm beholden to YouTube's many rules and regulations. But at the end of the day, I can break those rules whenever I feel like it's important to. So I don't know. I don't feel like I have to compromise that much making videos, and I definitely feel that way with music and everything else I do. So independent forever, baby. Hopefully, I don't know. I might sell out someday. Don't get mad at me when I do. But that would have to come with a lot of very changing values. The me that I am right now, I don't think would. But yeah, that's no disrespect to the band, but that was my experience. What do you think could be done at this moment to best aid in media preservation efforts? Is it focusing on hunting down the last copies of things, making efforts to better preservation technology, finding physical and digital spaces for files, dumping money into existing media preservation organizations, etc.? I have no goddamn idea! This is entirely hobbyist for me. I think you'd be better off asking people who have skin in the game. I don't know if we'll ever see a Video Game History Foundation style anime history foundation, much less in the States, that is operating the same way that and with the same transparency that the Video Game History Foundation does. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have really preserved anything in like an archival grade way. I think getting an ISO of Arisa Good Luck out there was the best that I could do. Or the closest that I've gotten anyway. So yeah. Ever planning on releasing the Smiling Broadly EP physically, or any news about a new release? Twinkle Park tapes are gonna come back in stock whenever my next video is out. I'm really dreading having to explain to a mass of people that don't even know that I make music that not only am I releasing a new record under one project name, I'm also releasing physical media for a project with another name. That's not going to confuse anybody, but that's how the timing shook out, so what are you going to do? I don't know. I want to do the Smiling Broadly EP physically eventually. I feel like that project just needs to percolate a little bit longer. But when Alyssa finished designing the Smiling Broadly album art, I asked her, could you do a version with Tsurime eyes and a version with Tareme eyes? So the alternate version of that album cover will be the one that I use physically someday. Hopefully. So off topic, sorry, but I was just curious if you saw Look Back when it was out in theaters. I did not. A lot of my friends did. I don't think I want to watch that. I think my experience with the manga is kind of everything that it needs to be. And I think that my relationship to Tatsuki Fujimoto's work largely stops with my best friend and the person that got me into his work dying. So if it's not something that I can share with them, I'm just not as interested. Maybe in like 10 years or something, something will strike me. I'll experience some other sudden loss and I'll feel compelled to go back to it, but not for now. As someone with a lot of niche interests and no one to talk about them with, how do you find communities for niche topics? Honestly, like, I think that we need to normalize asking people if they want to be friends. If you see somebody comment on a YouTube video with something insightful, say, hey, do you have a Discord? Like, I think I was saying this on the Scarecrow live stream. I think that we have forgotten that that saying no is not like that having to say no is not an imposition that somebody else is putting on you. You can just say no, and it's okay. You can just be told no, and it's okay. I think that rejection is something that has only become more and more of a mounting fear with gay nerds in particular, shall we just say. And I think it's kept a lot of people from forging connections that would have been very meaningful. I talked about it on that stream as well, but like Nikki, the friend I was just talking about 2 seconds ago, I met them because they were posting funny in a Twitch stream that had like 3 or 4 other people in it. So I don't think that anything about the way that we communicate or conduct ourselves online has changed so significantly that you can't still do that. You know, I've had comments from people saying like, hey, I found my current partner through your videos or through your Twitch chat even. And I'm not going to say go cruising for baddies in my goddamn YouTube comments or Twitch chat or whatever. But like, it's possible to form really meaningful connections in stupid fucking places like that. And I think that like, rather than saying, oh, go join somebody's YouTuber Discord, my first instinct is just to like try to build out a community of people that seem cool to you to begin with. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that's insightful. Did you ever find out what anime was playing at that bar? That was entirely rhetorical. The closest I had to that was going, what the fuck is this movie they're playing? And then realizing it was Flash Gordon. Have you ever seen Yan Neko Sugar Girls? It feels exactly like the kind of thing that would at least be on your radar. Yes, it rocks. I've known about it forever. If grandma questions are nice, how are you doing questions, then what are grandpa questions? I'm going with unsolicited hygiene advice. Yeah, that or like, I don't know, woodworking videos, or fuck me, sorry, I read the word videos on a page, and got confused. I don't know, woodworking questions. So, what's your favorite sandpaper grit? I'm an 1800 girl myself. 180? I think I mean 180 grit. What can I say? I'm not a grandpa. Where do you get all of your cool anime posters? I really love your poster wall and want one for my own space. Where would be a good place to look? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I setting all this shit up took days and days and days, but it makes me so happy. I love my room so much. It's my favorite place to be. I mean, that sounds sort of sad and lonely on paper, but I really love it. I feel like I've really curated it for I don't know, just to kind of represent everything that really feels important to me. And I think kind of being surrounded by that at all times is meaningful. I don't know, like it feels corny to say, but like the walls like of this room, like I think do really kind of reflect and say a lot about me. Like I'm sort of showing a lot of myself by having these up. And some of this stuff is not sentimental to me at all, really. But there is a lot of stuff that is, and there's a lot of stuff that I care very much about. And I gotta say, a lot of it is just accumulation. There are posters on my wall that I've had since I was like 17, younger even. There's a World Ends With You poster and a Mega Man poster up there that I've had since those like respective issues of Nintendo Power came out when I was like 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a hoarder. I never get rid of stuff because I get very attached to my belongings. And a lot of those magazines that I've hoarded over the years and a lot of art books and stuff like that, surprise, surprise, had a bunch of posters in them. So, I don't know. It was sort of a process of accrual, I guess. And then finally just putting it all together. I also like a lot of this stuff on my walls are not even posters, the magazine cutouts, comic books that I've pinned up, or framed even. There's a film strip. There's a Tenchi Muyo Daughter of Darkness film strip up on that wall covering an anime girl's naked breasts. I've got like a figure in its blister packaging up there. I would say just get creative with what you have. Maybe ask some friends if they're hoarding any posters that they don't plan on putting up. Yeah, a lot of cards, Pokemon cards, that sort of thing up on those walls. Yeah, so I guess my advice is just never throw anything away ever. Yeah, that's the end of that. I feel like this ran really, really long, but these questions were all very good, and I was very excited to answer all of them. So thank you. Thank you for asking all of these. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy what I have to say. I'm going to go feed myself now, because I've been talking for a very long time, and I'm very dehydrated now from all of the talking that I did. I did not prepare myself a water bottle ahead of time, which I'm feeling very silly about. So, goodbye.